Hey, what's up everybody, Nexel here. Today we are playing Kingdom Hearts Union Cross and we have another weekly gem quest. This one's going to be for a magic gem and it's going to pit you against level 999 enemies. They're going to be magic enemies, so of course you're going to try and go in with a speed-based setup in order to deal with them quickly. But at the same time, you don't have to go through it quickly. So I'll just jump right into strategies and I'll explain what I mean. The first thing you want to know is that the objectives are all complete without having to continue. That gives you quite a few options in terms of how you want to deal with this. So if you have the power, you can just go right in and just destroy all the enemies without any problems, and that still counts. If you one-turn them, hey, more credit to you. That's pretty hard to do with level 999s. But you also get the option of just walling up, of building a very good defense, and then just progressively chipping at the enemy until you win. Because I already went through this, as you can see, the enemies don't do a lot of damage. So if you're able to get something like Hainer Pencilette with extra attack on it, Pootigger and Rabbit, defense boost 4, you can last as many turns as you want. As long as you don't get knocked out, you're able to keep continuing. So there are 4 main medals that I recommend having for this quest. The first one, I explained it already, is that defensive medal. So Hainer Pencilette, Pootigger Rabbit, SP Cinderella, things of that nature, in order just to keep blocking to, progressively decrease the amount of damage that you're taking. That way you can keep going, because you'll still be able to meet the objectives even if you take 1 turn versus a million turns. So the first one is that defensive medal. The second one, to complement the defensive medal, you're going to need an SP gauge restoring medal. So that's going to be things like Kingdom Hearts 2 Kairi, Prideland Sora, Key Art 11, Iago, Chip and Dale, Minnie and Daisy. You're going to need those medals to just keep going, to keep, that battle of attrition going on, if that's the method you want to go with. The next medal I recommend is going to, the third and the fourth one kind of work together. So that third one is going to be a general buffer. So things like 0.2 Kairi, Illustrated Kairi, what are other ones? Ariel and Flounder, Key Art 5. Just things that raise your general attack up, because while you can wall up for this quest and make it last as many turns as possible, you also kind of want to be time efficient, so you're going to want to try and run over that enemy as quickly as possible. And then the last one, just an attack medal that can just burn through enemy bars of health, no problem. So those are my 4 main medal suggestions in order to do this. You can use the other 2 slots for pretty much anything you want, more damage dealing, more buffing, in order to try and get through this quest efficiently. So let me go ahead and show you 3 setups that I thought would be, that would work well for this quest. So this is the first one. As you can see, I am missing the defensive medal that I was talking about, but I believe someone is sharing it. There you go. So this would be the setup. So I have the Illustrated KH2 Kairi for restoring gauges. I have that Hainer Pencilette. It does have extra attack on it for defensive purposes. The 0.2 Kairi in order to buff. And then this Key Art 9 here has ground enemy defense minus 60, making that last fight against that Omega Guard armor go by more quickly. So this is the first setup you can do, and that's pretty much it. That's the first setup. The next setup that you can think of, it could be something like this. So you run into the Sleepy Archer, where when you hit it 2 times, it'll put you to sleep for 3 of your medals. So you can go with a setup like this, because these are a bunch of single target medals minus the Kingdom Hearts 2 Kairi. So you hit other enemies with your single target medals, and then you go in and defeat that archer with that big heavy power medal that you have. So in my case, it's going to be Key Art 9, which has that ground enemy defense minus 60. I tried it earlier. It's able to run over that archer with only 1 buff on it, or plus 6 general attack up. So the 0.2 Kairi plus that Key Art 9 was able to wipe the enemy no problem. The other setup that I could recommend is something like this. Now this is a very inefficient setup just because you have your buffer on that 3rd slot, but in this scenario what would happen is that you pretty much try and run it over quickly. And if you can't, like if you have the archer attack you, putting you to sleep, it'll make you sleep through your first 3 medals, and then you'll get to that 0.2 Kyrie and then finish it off with your damage dealing medal. So that's one thing you could do if you need multiple turns in order to take out that archer, because again, it's going to skip over your first 3 medals and then go straight into whatever your 4th medal is. So I talked a lot about theory. Let me go ahead and show you, what it actually looks like when you put it all together. Alright, so as we encounter our first enemy, again, you got that sleepy archer. When you hit it 2 times, it's going to shoot its arrow at you and knock you out. So what I'm going to do in order to prevent myself from getting utterly destroyed is I'm going to tap for the wizard. Keep tapping that wizard. And now I'm at my buffer medal. So I'm going to activate my buffer, getting me all those buffs. And then I will try and run it over with Key Art 9. So if I'm able to run it over, I don't have to worry about being put to sleep. So that's one way you can go about it. This is just whatever. No big. Actually the irony of this is that when I did this quest earlier, I actually skipped this enemy. Because you actually don't need to fight it. You can actually go, you know what? Because we're at a 0 AP, I'll just go ahead and show you guys instead of just talking about it in theory. So again, we'll go into the quest. We'll go in with that exact same setup. And I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so we run into our first enemy. I'm sorry that I have to do this again. I know I don't want to waste your guys' time like this. But luckily we can just skip straight through this because I already explained this part. So buffer, run it over. If you're using something that's not 0.2 Kyrie to buff, like Key Art or like Illustrated Kyrie and a copy medal, you can just single target that wizard in order to get those buffs off and then hit it with the heavy hitting medal you have. So this is that enemy I ran into. You can actually run underneath it, and that's fine because the objectives are to complete without continuing. So you don't need to fight everything if you don't have to. Unfortunately though, this enemy right here is non-skippable, so I'll show you what I did for this one. So this one, again, we are going to tap on the one that doesn't have a counter. Tappity tap, tap, tap. And again, if those are buffers, if you have single target buffers, you can be using that instead of tapping. So now I will use that 0.2 Kyrie, I'm going to get my buffs, and then I'm going to run over that archer before it can cause any more problems. Alright, done. Now I'm at my shared medal, and it's going to be this Hainer Pencilette with SP gauge 1 on it. And I'm going to start building my wall so that I can pretty much protect myself against these enemies. Because again, they don't have a lot of attack points. They're not going to be, so dangerous to you. See, there you go. I was able to survive this round. So I'll go in with my 0.2 Kyrie, going for the heal. It should be fine. Oh, there we go. We got knocked out. Second chance. There we go. Okay. So in that case, I needed second chance. But let's go ahead and just keep running like we normally would. I want to take out that counter thing first because I don't want to get slammed with that again now that's my what is it called? Now that my second chance has been used up. So I'm going to go into the Kyrie, run it over, and now it's not a problem anymore. So I can proceed to wall up and to keep defending myself against this enemy. And after a certain point, you have so much defense that even a level 999 enemy has a problem hurting you. So let me see if that plays into effect here. Alright, see, as you saw there, Defense Boost 2 only activated once, and it didn't even need to activate. So at this point, I'm just going to run it over. And again, these are all just buffers because my general attack up, which you normally put first, is at the end. So just buffs in order to take care of the enemy. As you can see, they're only doing 1 damage, but that's fine because we have a medal that we pour all our attack into, which is that Key Art 9. Alright. So we took it out. There you go. Now we'll run into this last boss, and your strategy is pretty much going to be exactly the same. In this case, I'm just able to use all my medals because there are no counters, there are no sleepy archers, so I just run all my medals in, I have the Hainer Pencilette for walling purposes, and then I just defeat the enemy that way. It does have a lot of bars of health, but remember, none of the objectives say you have to defeat it within a certain time frame. So you keep going like this, you keep, just chipping away at it progressively, and then eventually you'll defeat it, and you get a free magic gem. Easy peasy, no problem. So everything up until this point just did 1, but again, I'm pouring all my attack into my Key Art 9, and the Key Art 9 did, like 24 bars of health? So I'd pretty much just be doing this 10 times in a row. So we will wall up with our Hainer Pencilette, see what happens in terms of us getting hurt, and we go from there. Alright, so as you can see, I'm still alive, still surviving. Remember that Hainer Pencilette and I believe Pooh, Tigger, and Rabbit, they heal you. But this is where that SP gauge restoring medal comes in handy, because again, you're gonna have to keep restoring gauges in order to use your defensive medals. But that's one strategy you can use. It's definitely free to play friendly, as long as you have, again, that big attack medal, the buffer, the SP gauge restoring medal, and a defensive medal to just keep you going. But with that being said, that is the 3 main strategies that I would recommend for dealing with this enemy. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll try my best to answer them. And until the next video, everyone, take it easy.